So Tara, take us away. Let us know what's up.
Awesome. Okay, well, like Drew said, I am a freelance accountant actually. My business name is a play on words for the barkeep, and I think it's fun. And it was a marketing genius's idea. So I do a lot of bookkeeping though for my clients. So yeah, basically, I am partnering with Better Together to provide monthly programming. And Drew is actually spearheading a bunch of different programming that's covering a lot of different topics. So it's going to be really exciting, a bunch of learning. So continue to check in and see what is being offered. It's going to be great. Let's see. I'm going to present my screen to you all. Okay, so again, this is holistic business finance. I like to look at business finance in a holistic way because you are a freelancer, your personal finances are super important, and also, your goals should be tied in with your personal goals when it comes to your business. So I like to just look at everything in a really huge, big picture way. Like Drew said, I'm an accountant. I'm a big picture person. I'm a data enthusiast, a self-care queen, a proud zero partner. If you ever want to talk about accounting systems, that's my recommendation. I also have 15 years experience as a right-hand finance woman to many, a president, CEO, what have you. So basically just worked in small business my entire career. So that's kind of what qualifies me to talk about things today. So what I thought I would get into initially is the difference between a bookkeeper, an accountant, and a CPA. A lot of questions I get initially when I tell people that I do business finance is, are you a CPA? Because everyone is 100% certain they need a CPA and they're not really sure what everyone else does. So I'm assuming that's kind of why you guys are here too. I want to facilitate this as kind of a conversation, so if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to jump in. But yeah, I'm assuming you guys might need clarity on these things. Am I accurate in that assumption? Yeah. Cool. Okay, so the terms bookkeeper, accountant, CPA, they're often used interchangeably because they all have to do with numbers and accounting. And then there's like the finance stuff, which is like CFOs and things like that. So, there's a whole team of finance people, and they often get kind of just intermixed together. So these three professionals are very different in their scope of work, the tasks that they actually can do for you, and their licensing and professional status. They also differ in their standing with the IRS, which is super important to note. So we can dig into the specifics of each. So bookkeepers, they keep the books for your company. Keeping the books for your company means basically keeping in charge of your accounting system, whether it be an actual accounting system like something like Xero. Probably a lot of you are familiar with QuickBooks. Others track their finances in spreadsheets. All of those are considered accounting systems. A bookkeeper will keep all of that tidy for you. They'll record all your transactions for you. They also have knowledge in how to track expenses or deductions correctly for easy tax prep. You want to make sure you're getting your deductions because at the end of the year, you want to pay the taxes that you have to pay and nothing more than you have to pay. And if you have a bookkeeper doing it, this saves a lot of headache at the end of the year when you're trying to get your taxes filed. It will also save you money if you don't have a CPA going through your books, because CPAs tend to charge a lot more money than bookkeepers. So bookkeepers can also do day-to-day stuff for you. They can manage and pay your bills. For instance, I have clients that I manage all of their cash. I don't actually have access to their cash, so I can set up systems to where I can, prep all of their payments and then they go through and authorize them. So really a bookkeeper can handle your money without actually physically being able to get to your money, if that makes sense. There's a lot of ways to set that up. Several different options with online bill pays with your bank. There are also applications like bill.com, etc. But anyway, bookkeepers can handle that for you. They can also manage your cash flow, which means they can help you assess how much money you're having coming in over the next period. So you can look at 6 months to a year. They can also manage your credit cards and make sure that all of those expenses are accurate, and keep an eye on those things so you don't have any fraud going on. Again, they kind of comb through everything with a fine-tooth comb for you. They also are champions at keeping records and your files organized. This is super important in the event of an audit where unfortunately, everyone's at risk of those things, and having a good bookkeeper is having a good detailed person, and that detail-oriented person will have, all your vendors tracked the right way, all your receipts. So if an audit should happen and somebody comes and points to an expense, they can go right to the supporting documentation, which is huge. And also gets rid of that whole box of receipts thing everybody has going on underneath their desk. And then they'll also handle the data entry, which is the boring recording of the transactions, kind of just hand coding everything in there, typing everything out. This is actually becoming more automated these days, which is really exciting. I'm a huge tech geek, and yeah, there's just a lot of opportunity there. Happy to discuss those things with people as well. That's kind of what I do when I enter in. I do an overhaul of the processes that people are using for their accounting, and then we figure out how to automate as much as possible, because the data entry is the boring part, but you definitely want somebody who has the knowledge for the other components. So then if we look at accountants, accountants are a level up from a bookkeeper. Again, I am an accountant. They can perform bookkeeping functions. A lot of them do. A lot of them can do an audit of your system, like I mentioned, and figure out how to eliminate a lot of the tedious tasks. They can perform audits. They can perform audits for public companies and private companies. They can do internal audits. Basically, an audit is just going through everything, making sure everything's copacetic. I do audits of my clients' books when I take on a new client. I'll just go through and make sure everything's been done correctly, and we can address any concerns that I might find. So they're good to have. They have the knowledge to be able to make sure you're being completely compliant with any regulations. They also can prepare reports for tax purposes. So they'll prepare all of your information that you can just basically hand over to your CPA at the end of the year, and they'll be able to file taxes from these kinds of reports. They also can prepare reports for management purposes, which is kind of my favorite thing. A good accountant who is a partner with you will understand your business. They will dive in. They will understand, the process of the lead all the way to closing of a job, and really be able to help you figure out your KPIs and your metrics and tie those to your finances, and also let you know where to put your efforts. So maybe tracking your revenue a different way will help you understand where you need to be putting marketing focus. So there's a lot of management opportunities that go along with having a good accountant that understands you and works alongside you. They are also considered an unenrolled preparer. So they can prepare your taxes for you. They can file sales tax returns for you. They do not have an automatic standing with the IRS, but they can do all those tax forms for you. Then we have the CPAs. CPAs have passed the CPA exam. They have met licensing requirements of their specific state in which they are a CPA. They prepare and review financial statements. I work with a lot of CPAs, so I will prepare a lot of financial statements, and then I'll meet with the CPA and the client together, and the CPA will look over what I'm doing, and the CPA and I will kind of discuss the health of a company with a client. And so it's kind of nice to have the team of people looking over your financial statements. Let's see, they prepare your tax returns. They can actually sign your tax returns and represent you to the IRS. They have automatic representation with the IRS. So that's kind of nice to have that person in your court. So in the event that something did happen, heaven forbid, an audit, you know, they could deal directly with a CPA. You wouldn't even need to interfere or deal with them at all, which is great. Let's see, they can prepare reports for tax purposes the same as an accountant does. They also can do your business and your individual taxes, and that's always great to have one person that's doing the culmination of your taxes, depending on what type of business you have. A lot of times your tax liability will fall from your business and pass through into your personal finances. Sometimes they're taxed separately. So having somebody that understands, again, a holistic view of your whole financial situation is really, really, really powerful.
And
so,
Terra,
yeah.
and what does CPA stand for those of us in the back of the room?
Wow. I'm sorry, certified public accountant. Again, they're certified. There are certified like bookkeepers. There are associations, so people become certified bookkeepers, things like that. They're less regulated or less necessary, I guess. Really, CPAs, accountants are people you want that have a lot of experience. Our bookkeepers, accountants are people you want with lots of experience. CPAs obviously have a lot of experience too, but yeah, certified public accountant. Wow, thanks, Drew. Okay, this is what my dream team looks like in the sense of a small business accounting department. So you want someone who keeps your books. Automation is your friend for sure. There are incredible things that accounting software is able to do these days. Really minimal financial investment, maybe some learning up front. Again, having somebody like me can even just setting your books up for you is super amazing, saves you a headache, and provides you really, really good data. You want someone to make sense of your numbers because this is how you grow. This is the analysis portion of the data. So you spend all this time collecting data, and then you're like, what does it all mean? So you want someone that can actually look at it and say, yeah, this is how you grow. This is, these are steps that you can take. And growth can mean expanding your company. Growth can mean growing your bottom line or your profit, you know, making more money, doing the same amount of work. Maybe you want to remain a company of one, but you still need to understand how to make more money, if that makes sense. And then you want someone to prep and file your taxes because you don't want to skip this step. You know, there are ways to discuss, you know, your liabilities with different agencies and minimize any interest or penalties or fines from not filing, but it's really just better to be on top of things, and it saves you a lot of stress and headache. You're not lying awake at night wondering what's going to happen to you if you don't pay your taxes. So that's what a dream team looks like for me. And so revisiting this really cool Venn diagram that we learned about in 5th grade, I think it was. Let's see. So you have your bookkeeper, and your bookkeeper keeps your day-to-day organized, essentially. Keeps everything kind of running smoothly and saves you those headaches. Then you have your accountant. They interpret your data and they can do advisory services for you. So they can tell you when it's appropriate to hire an employee, what kind of returns you can get on an investment of a certain type of equipment maybe, and how much to mark up your prices to cover your overhead, which is important because sometimes we're just shooting in the dark wondering how to price our services. And there is a way to look at your finances holistically and figure out what exactly that percentage of markup needs to be. And then we have the certified public accountant, CPA, that can sign taxes and automatically represent you to the IRS. The beautiful thing is that there's overlap in all of these areas. So let's see, the first overlap, this is kind of what I do here. So somebody who is a bookkeeper and accountant, they can set up your processes, they can improve your automation, and they can give you advisory services. They can interpret those numbers for you, and then help you make those really important management decisions. then there's an overlap between the accountant and the CPA. So an accountant can prepare your taxes. They can represent you to various agencies, including the IRS, with a power of attorney. I have power of attorney for every client that I have. And so I deal directly with all these agencies for them. I deal with all their compliance for them, and they're not paying CPA prices for me. Accountants can also give limited tax advice. They have not taken that fancy exam that a CPA has taken, but they do have the experience and the ability to give tax advice, and especially planning for saving your taxes and paying your taxes quarterly, which is important because they want you to assume how much you owe at the end of the year and then pay it on a regular schedule without actually knowing. It's bogus, but yeah, so there is overlap there. Let's see. And then the overlap between the bookkeeper and the CPA is expensive. You really don't want your CPA doing any of your bookkeeping stuff because that can get very expensive. CPAs charge a lot of money. Bookkeepers are way more affordable. But the beautiful thing is that at an accounting firm, there are typically bookkeepers, accountants, and CPAs. So your CPA might actually have a bookkeeper on staff that can do your bookkeeping for you at a nominal fee. And it is kind of nice if you're working in, with a group of people who all kind of have an eye in your finances there. But yeah, so that's really it. Any questions going forward? I'm happy to back up and discuss anything in details, but that's kind of a high level view.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that you have to have a CPA, or would just an accountant and a bookkeeper be enough?
It would depend on your specific needs. So if you're just getting started out, and you don't have any super complicated needs, if you are maybe just a service provider, if you're not investing in a ton of manufacturing equipment, for instance, it would depend on your needs, definitely. Do you have a specific question that maybe I can help you with?
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, for more high level things, more complicated things, you would need a CPA, but for like basic.
Yeah, and my advice to anyone would be to talk to an accountant. And a good accountant will say, this is my limit, and I do that with my clients all the time. I'm like, I can help you up to this point, and then you need to talk to CPA. And really, for me, it's about managing my clients' money. So I know if they're working with me, how much they're going to pay, and I'd rather give them as much information as I can at that price point before I say, go pay somebody X amount an hour to talk to them. So yeah, finding a trusted accountant is great because then they can point you in the direction when you need more help. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And a lot of accountants, they when they do file taxes, they will work in tandem with the CPA. So they'll have a partnership with the CPA who will review the taxes with them before they're sent. So you want to talk to your accountant about maybe who they're partnering with as well and who's on their team.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions too. One of them is something you said about receipts. It was at the very beginning as a bookkeeper, and you can get rid of receipts. Why can I do that? What can I do to start eliminating that?
Yeah, definitely. So do you have an accounting software that you're using currently?
Yeah, I use Quicken.
Quicken? Okay. So Quicken is more personal stuff.
Yeah, and that's one of my next questions, so maybe I'll just ask it too, is when you're doing the books for companies, like right now we have our accounts personal and business mixed, even though they're not mixed as far as the accounts listed, but that's, they're in the same system.
Yeah. So, okay. HubDoc is an amazing program, and it's basically data capture. They have an app for your phone, and essentially you can take a picture of your receipts and it extracts all the data for you. And then sends it to your accounting system. It sends it to an accounting system, though not Quicken, not a personal accounting system. It sends it to a business accounting system. So my preference is Xero. I am a QuickBooks Pro advisor as well, but I really prefer Xero. They're amazing, and what they're doing with their technology is just outstanding. But so there's that. And then HubDoc also has a feature where it gives you an email address, so you forward any of your emailed receipts to it, and it extracts the data. And then it connects to either like Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever your online storage is, and then it files all of your receipts automatically there too. It's kind of amazing.
So
I've been doing this for 15 years, and I just remember when I was younger, and like you get a stack of receipts, and like now I'm just like entering receipts for hours. But yeah, it's,
yes. So the Xero program, that's the one that you like. It's like Quicken, but it's just for business.
yeah, and actually, it is extremely business owner friendly. It's not a heavy accounting interface. They don't use as much jargon as I might have even used during this presentation. But instead of accounts receivables and accounts payables, there's like invoices from clients and bills to pay. And then they have a really great dashboarding setup that you can kind of keep an eye on everything as well. And they have integrations with Stripe and PayPal and Go Cardless. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but basically to accept your credit cards automatically, and then even ACH fees, which is really cool, which knocks a lot of your merchant fees off because it's a lot cheaper to use ACH. But yeah, so Xero really is very approachable, and it's really great because inside of the program there's videos when you're in there. So any screen is like, here's a tutorial on how to use this specific part of Xero. Super fan. I can talk about Xero all day, and I'm glad to schedule a consultation with you too if you want to ask any more questions or even get set up in Xero.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, I would advise separating your personal and your business, even though you're probably doing it on a certain level. It's just easier in the long run, especially if you're going to grow, just to get that stuff separated now.
And so that brings up two questions. So when you have a home office, like, so my internet for my home and what I use for the business, currently, like, I charge that on my business card, and then I just split in my accounting system like a percentage.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay, so that's a good way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what I do with all my clients, and your phone too, your cell phone as well.
Okay.
You can go back and do that too.
And how small or how big or small is the people you manage, or the clients that you have?
I have clients who had a revenue last year of $6,000, and then I have clients who've had a revenue last year of over $2 million. So I'm all over, which is really fun, and I'm in a lot of different industries, which is like exciting for me. It makes my job really, really fun. But I do have extensive training with people who are just solopreneurs or company of one, whatever you want to refer to yourself as well as, companies with 15, 25 employees.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Of course.
And on that question, Tara, what do you think is some good questions to ask an accountant? Like when I'm meeting an accountant that I might want to hire, or even a bookkeeper or CPA, what would be some questions that you would suggest asking to know if it's a good fit?
Yeah, so I would dig into experience. There are a lot of like bookkeeping certificate programs. You can go to a community college and like learn to be a bookkeeper in like 9 months or something, which is great. And I'm not against people getting education that way, but you kind of want somebody who's actually has experience, because as anyone knows, what you kind of learn in school is not exactly what you learn on the job. So definitely talk about experience. I would get industry specific too. There are standard deductions that a bookkeeper is aware of, but there's also very specific industry deductions, right? So say you're a photographer, you can write off your photography equipment. And if you're a tattoo artist, you can write off your tattoo equipment, but a photographer cannot write off tattoo equipment, So just kind of that stuff. I know that's super, super basic, but it gets a little more complicated. So having somebody who has worked in your specific industry is really key as well. Not necessarily a deal breaker. Also, whatever your specific accounting needs are, in the sense that, are you selling a product? Do you have to collect sales tax on that product and remit sales tax? You know, somebody that specializes in sales tax would be really, really helpful. Are you planning on hiring employees? Somebody who understands payroll. So really, I would assess what your business needs are and say, I need somebody who knows all of these specific things, and then talk about those things, and then ask their experience with those things. Just like Andrea, when you asked what my client size is, you know, finding somebody who has experience running payroll for 90 people is different than somebody who is managing the draw for 2 owners of a company. Yeah, so I would get really specific about what you need and where you think you're going to be in the next year, and then you know, go with that list and say, I'm going to need these things. And also, if you're really interested in the management reporting of it all, asking for examples of what kind of reports can be created for you to help you with your business. A bookkeeper is going to just give you standard income statement, balance sheet, cash flows statement, but they might not be able to actually interpret it for you, but they will give you those standard reports. If you're looking for more, ask about what people can offer and how creative they can get, definitely. You can ask your business a lot of questions with looking at the accounting and get a lot of answers. So yeah, if you are struggling, like I mentioned earlier, with where do I put my marketing efforts, a good accountant can comb through that and track everything and say, like, well, you're actually selling a lot of this, and it's at a really good price point, and you're making X amount off of it, you know, you should push this product or service. Did that answer your question, Drew? I went on a tangent.
That's great. Yeah. Are there any other questions? I have some more, but I want to.
Yeah, let me just ask one question, because you kind of, what are like the ranges? Is it like by hourly? Is it by project? Is it by quarter? Is it by year? To have, like, for a bookkeeper, for the accountant, for the CPA?
Yeah.
What is the, just an estimate?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll tell you a little bit how pricing works. There are bookkeepers, and most of the bookkeepers I know charge an hourly rate. And accountants typically charge like a monthly rate, because they're kind of just reviewing things with you, depending on how they're getting involved. And then CPAs, when they do your taxes, are typically, it's like a project. So they'll give you an estimate of how much it costs to do your taxes, and then that's what you're paying them. That varies though. So there are a lot of like big bookkeeping companies that you can outsource your bookkeeping to, and you can pay them $199 a month. You're not giving the level of detail if you were hiring somebody that's specific that you actually talk to, but you know, there are those packages available too. But that would be definitely a question to ask, is how they bill their time. I am a fan of predictable monthly expenses. So I always bill my clients a monthly fee, so that it's expected. They know how to budget for it, and there's no surprises. There are bookkeepers that don't do that and start to go over and things like that. And I've actually had clients come to me because I do offer that. So it's kind of nice. I mean, with anybody, right? If you're working on an hourly basis, it's kind of hard. You're managing them. You're trying to keep on top of their hours because you don't want them to go over, and then managing their work that they're getting done for you so that you're getting the best value. I would advise against finding somebody that works hourly, personally, just because it does leave too much variability for you. But that being said, you know, there are bookkeepers, accountants, and CPAs who will charge hourly and project based. So.
And that was the question I was going to ask. My other question is, what would be something that we can do right now to make our finances better, or
Yeah,
to
so
prepare for us getting a bookkeeper or an accountant?
yeah, I mean, rule number one, this is like what I tell all of my clients initially, is business checking account and a savings account. It doesn't have to be a business savings account. And actually, depending on the size of your company, you don't want a business savings account. There are a lot more fees associated with business accounts. So getting a business checking is important, but getting a savings account where you can stick away money for taxes and bigger expenses, things like that. I really recommend having a savings account for your taxes, just so it's money, it's gone, you're not tempted to touch it. But that's the first thing is getting your business account, making sure all of your money is going through there, and then getting your savings account set up. And then really it's having a dedicated bookkeeping system that's just for your business. And like I said, technology is great. You can set up those bank feeds and all this stuff is happening behind the scenes. So it's usually not too cumbersome to make that transition and just get it set up. And there's lots of help. And especially like with Xero, there's a whole plethora of videos and online support to help you get those things set up. But really keeping your finances separate is rule number one. It just is. And QuickBooks Online is a really good alternative as well. I'm not happy with their pricing. I feel like they start to get you when you grow too much and if you want any more capabilities. But there is one, there is the lowest package for QuickBooks is the QuickBooks Self-Employed. And I'm not a fan of that. I would advise against that package getting set up in there. I've had a couple of clients who've wasted a lot of time using it and we had to just start over fresh anyway. But yeah, a real basic accounting system, QuickBooks or Xero is really, really good to get in. I know a lot of people use Wave and FreshBooks, things like that, but just having something that's capturing your expenses, even if you're not dealing with them right away, is good.
I have kind of a specific question.
Yeah.
That might not be very useful for the rest of you, but I'll try to make it brief.
All welcome.
I started working with a bookkeeper a few months ago, and at the end of the year, I felt like he kind of gave me a hard push to prepay for all of 2020.
Really?
In the sense that it would like benefit my taxes, the more expenses I had. I'm just wondering if that's
services. Sorry,
go ahead.
To prepay for his services?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like prepay him for the whole year coming up. Which like I can see the benefit of that, but since I just started working with him, I wasn't comfortable doing that. But he asked me like 3 times, which just kind of bugged me, and I just wanted to hear your input on that. If you think that's like if it would really benefit me enough that he should bug me about it, or
so the only benefit I can see from that is if he's offering you a discount to prepay.
No.
Okay, so that's good. Because at the end of the year, you're gonna be paying him. So did he try to have you pay in December for services to be rendered in 2020?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So basically, he's trying to. He's saying if you pay me for all of 2020, we can deduct those expenses now.
Right.
Which would mean you're on a cash basis. But again, if you take the deduction in 2019 or 2020, you're still going to take the deduction, right?
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's.
I mean, again, it can save you it can save you money in the short term, but really, I mean, I would go with my gut, which is not to pay anybody for a year of service that I don't know very well.
Right.
And also, there's a lot of like shame and just like some taboo and some gross stuff that comes up when people talk about money, and especially with accountants and CPAs, like they kind of seem intimidating and scary. I would always recommend when you're looking for a partner in your business who's helping you with this kind of sensitive information, that you do go with your gut and that you do have a really good lines of communication and you feel comfortable talking to them, and that they're there to actually educate you and help you. I have I have a no stupid questions policy. I had a client who came to me and was just very confused about what top line revenue was versus profit. And they were so embarrassed to ask me that, but I like to cultivate a really safe space, you know, so you can come to me and ask me questions that maybe you just don't understand. I mean, this stuff is tricky to navigate. I wouldn't be able to step into anybody else's business and know what they're doing, you know? So really being able to trust that person and feel that you have some sort of relationship built with them is important, definitely. Again, that deduction is going to be taken next year or this year, and a high pressure sales person is just not somebody I ever want to deal with. Personally, if anybody puts pressure on me, I don't care if we're dating or anything. I'm like, no, I can't handle that. I want to feel really good about my decisions, and I want to feel that the people that I let into my business are my partners. My photographer is my partner, you know, like everyone I deal with is my partner, and that's honestly the best advice I can give you for that is trust your gut.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
But yeah, no, you'll get that deduction next year when you pay them. So
right.
And unless you owe like $40,000 in taxes, which I doubt it.
No. Cool.
Do you have any, speaking of deductions and knowing that taxes are coming up, do you have any deduction tips? Any deductions that?
Yes.
Esoteric, maybe?
I mean, I can talk about deductions all day, but so really, at the end of the year, I like to remind my clients periodically throughout the year, but at the end of the year, I like to drive it home. If you spent any personal money on your company, anything at all, if you left your business credit card at home and you took a client out to coffee, grab every single receipt that you actually spent personal money on and make sure that you have those ready to expense as well, because we all do that. You know, I do it all the time. I forget. I'm like, crap, I spend all my personal again. But yeah, so make sure you're doing that. Make sure any personal money that you spent, you have those receipts collected or those receipts entered into your accounting system or whatever. There are ways to do that. I can get into the details of that, but that's another conversation. And also, like Andrea mentioned, if you're working at home, your internet is deductible and your cell phone bills are deductible. And I say about 50%. If you have a home office, things get a little bit trickier, but a home office has its own special thing. So a home office has to be an actual office that has doors, that closes, that's nothing else is in there. You can't have a spare bed in there. I mean, there's some regulations about that, but ultimately, your internet and your cell phone bill, you can deduct half. So even if you didn't pay it with your company credit card, but like it sounds like Andrea's doing exactly what I have all my clients do. I'm like, run it through your business and then take half of it as a draw, you know, so your company's just paying for it, which is really nice. One less bill for you to worry about personally. But yeah, so make sure you're getting those deductions for sure. Those are like my top things that people always miss.
Any other questions?
I just want to comment. I really appreciate your openness and your ability to make it a safe place, because I can't think of anything else right now, but I feel generally that I could literally email you and say, hey, can we meet? I got more questions. So yeah. I appreciate that. So thank you.
Of course. Yeah, no, I'm super, super happy to do it. And like, the stuff is scary. I mean, it's scary for me sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to deal with all this stuff. And not scary in the sense that I can't handle it, but it's just overwhelming, you know? And there are real consequences if you don't do things the right way, which is very intimidating, you know? And instead of it feeling like a big black cloud just looming over you, like free that up so that you can do the creative thing that you started your business to do, you know? And yeah, like definitely work with people who make you feel safe and make you feel like your questions are valid and who's going to actually help take care of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm so happy to help. And you guys can definitely email me. I'm happy to keep in touch and provide any necessary information that you might have questions about.
Cool.
I think we can wrap it there.
Cool.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
much for
thanks
being
so
part of
much.
This, especially with short notice. Like, this is great. This is awesome. So thank you. Thanks for being a participants and bringing your questions. So that's good.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.